Really, really great. I've not seen, and I was leading as my first question, but I've not seen anything like this before, actually. It felt so kind of unique and original. Did you get a sense for that when you were reading it and making it that this was quite different? Was that something that you can't really tell when you're in the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I got that straight away, and that's where I wanted to go as an artist. You know, I felt like I was, well, I always feel like I'm at crossroads after each project. But I really wanted to pour myself into a process um, that was deeper. And Naqqash and I had 6 months of talking every day, and going through the script and the world around it and the ideas and philosophies around it, with, you know, quite forensically for a long time. And so I relished that, and really wanted to put myself into this, because it says something different, and we didn't want to say what we have to say in a kind of half-assed way. I think we wanted to make something bold, cinematic. So.
Yeah, because often with filmmakers, you have this kind of opportunity to watch their previous work, to get a sense of their kind of voice or their visual language. With a first-time filmmaker, what helps you understand who they are and what sort of filmmaker they are? Was it through conversation then?
With Naqqash, it's easy, and it is through
Mm.
conversation, because when he talks, he he's he kind of talks his philosophy of film, and it's incredible to receive that and absorb it and kind of communicate with him, because you're learning so much and you end up sharing so much, when you talk to him. But the way I could relate, and this is just where I was at when we met, right, was putting myself right there with him. And, you know, I will proudly say this was like my first film. It was like my first project. Um, and it's a reawakening, um, of sorts. Feels like, yeah, my first rodeo, and I'm incredibly proud of this film.
Yeah, no, you have every right to be. And also, such a great debut from Nakash. I mean, was it? I just wondered if you've had any sort of ambitions yourself to step behind the lens and direct one day, and if working with people like that inspire you to give it a go.
Yeah, certainly. It's a great question. I definitely want to, you know, I'm writing and getting more into producing space. I think this project was, you know, is the perfect entree for me personally to step into like self-realizing as an artist, and not just an actor. Um, yeah, both projects I shot last year, um, gave me that, and it's a real springboard. So look, I'm young, never say never, but certainly writing and producing and directing, we'll have to see about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great role to play because through this one character, you almost get to play a whole myriad of parts. So I particularly like the kind of this American alien character. Did it feel like loads of kind of mini short films in one because of that opportunity to try on so many different hats?
Yeah, it's funny you said that. Kyle already is quite a fan favorite. Yeah, I've always wanted to explore, multi-rolling. I got to do that in the play I did, at the Harold Pinter. Um, you know, I just want that to be a staple of my, performance going forward. But beyond that, this is a film of moments, and we really want to stretch and warp people's minds in those moments, because the rest of the time is very internal, it's very still, it's very close. You know, the camera's very close to me. Um, so we had to make sure we really lent into those moments. And so going into auditions, physically becoming those characters, seeing the visual discomfort of playing some of those roles, was really important, and it was hard to go there, but we had to go there to pull it off.
Yeah. So just how close to reality are some of these auditions?
No, no, they're not close. We weren't interested in, representing reality as it is. You know, I think one thing that Naqqash and I connected on straight away was how connected to the surreal we are. And I'm personally very, very influenced by the surreal, in everyday life and in art. So we thought it was more visceral, more effective to give you what an audition feels like, as opposed to what an audition is. I mean, thankfully, every audition I've been to, I've been given a seat. So there's at least that. But the reason why we put that in the film is we wanted to give you a feeling, and that is more powerful than just showing you
Yeah,
like for
yeah.
like.
because I mean, my cousin is a young kind of actor, just sort of left drama school, and he's going through that endless kind of, dare I say, quite tedious cycle of kind of audition. And it's quite disheartening and it's quite difficult, and it feels very personal as well. All the kind of when you get the kind of rejections. I was wondering what your experiences have been with that part of the world. I mean, obviously, did you have to sort of go through that quite difficult early phase, I suppose, in a career when you have to kind of get used to putting up a bit of a thick skin?
I think what's more damaging than rejection. I think anyone can deal with rejection. I think what's more damaging is having to perform within performing. Essentially, this is not a film about acting or the industry per se, as much as it is a metaphor for the everyday performativity of real life. And acting just so happens to be the perfect metaphor for which to convey that. So I think more than the rejection, it's about morphing yourself and killing off an authentic version of yourself for personal gain, and kind of how gross that is.
Yeah. Do you remember at the point in your career when you thought, hang on, this is kind of what I do now? Because it's not like, let's say you want to be a plumber. You get a kind of certificate that says you can fix pipes and all that kind of thing, and you do courses and stuff. But with acting, there's a lot of self-doubt and a lot of moments where you kind of really think, you don't really know at any point, you go, is this my career? Is it a hobby? When's that kind of line's quite blurry? Do you remember, was there a specific point, a specific role when you just thought, actually, hang on, it's kind of what I do now?
No, I just remember going into it thinking it's like a free 30-day trial. And I still think of it like that. Do I love this? Do I want to continue doing this? Can I pour my heart and soul into it? Is it worth my energy? And the beautiful thing about my career is, beautiful thing about art is you do it till you die. There's no retirement age. And so, rather than relying upon markers that other people decide, okay, now you can do it as a full-time job. Now you're valid. Now you're good because you've got this piece of recognition, or the film is sold, or what have you. No, you've had it. You've always had it, and those things come because you've always had it. And I've had mentors who've told me that, and reminded me of that. In a humbling way, which is really important to have that self-assuredness and front-footedness as an actor. We do so much. People project on us so much, and that's what the film's about. Sometimes you have to be a bit more front foot, and
this is quite a challenge early on to balance kind of like quality with exposure, because obviously there's that thing where you just want to get your name on there, you want to get parts, but obviously you always want to maintain that kind of level of quality. And if you look across your career, you've really maintained that. I think everything you tend to do is so interesting, and I think you always play really quite complex characters with quite unpredictable in many ways as well. But was that quite a challenge for you? Has that been a challenge for you to kind of balance the quality, the exposure needed to be an actor, but also the quality required to do good stuff?
I appreciate that, and it's a valid point. I think doing it that way around is, you'd be going in circles, because no one actually knows what exposure comes from what. I think that's the thing that's very ephemeral and hard to predict. So if you're coming from a place where you can bring yourself artistically to something, then you're kind of always winning, because it's either like it's great and I want to explore more of that, or we tried something, but I always want to try something, and everything else is just like you got to deal with it now. Sorry, but that's just what I do. I love to work with my friends, and I love to play, and that's not going to change.
Yeah, because you mentioned, I mean, with you and the sort of filmmaker in this instance, it's that you have an inclination to do something a bit different and something a bit kind of creative and it's quite surrealistic. Where do you think that kind of came from? Was that the sort of stuff you were into when you were sort of starting to get into cinema and TV?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think generationally, we go through times that feel a bit stale, and every so often something comes along and just blows your mind, blows everything out of proportion, and makes you rethink, painting or music or films. So I was always influenced by that kind of thing. It's kind of hard to reverse engineer, but all I have is this, man. All I have is me, my thoughts, and I always think whatever you do is very important not to become indoctrinated by whatever institution or industry you're in. It's very important to have be of independent mind, and then some stuff sticks and some stuff doesn't. But you just have to, you have to follow your own path.
So I know acting is obviously a big part of your family. I just wondered, was this always what you wanted to do? Did you have a kind of backup alternative career just in case?
I figured it out as I went along, and I still am. It's always been encouraged, but then again, quite a high achieving family, so everything was encouraged. Sports was encouraged. Like, you had to be good at everything, not just art. It was definitely a big part of it, and it helps. I always just knew I want to be an artist, whether that's music or writing or films. There is something that we share that is within us. Anything that can kindle that flame is usually useful.
Yeah. So my final question, because because it feels like a real marriage of creative minds with you and Naqqash in this movie. It feels like two people that seem to have just come together to create something that's obviously they're very sort of symbiotic. Have you already? I know this very early days, the film's not even out yet, but have you already had any discussions about maybe collaborating again in the future? It feels like it could be the birth of something.
Yeah, I think firstly, what you're seeing the birth of is you're seeing the birth of a cinematic style and voice that is quite singular in Naqqash, right? And I can't wait to see what he does, because each film he's just going to refine it, and I think we're seeing the genesis of something really special with regards to his work. The two of us talk every day, and the film brought us together. People always ask if we knew each other before, but the film really brought us together, and kind of pouring our souls into it, it's kind of bonded us. He's funny, man. He's got so much on his mind, and if you speak to him, he's got 85 ideas he'll pitch to you at any given moment. So we talk all the time, and we're just in that exciting phase of we're still storming, but hopefully this isn't the last collaboration.
Yeah, hopefully one of those 85 ideas comes to fruition. Anyway, well, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you, and best of luck with the release of the movie as well.
Yeah, thanks for your support. Really appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey You Guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!